Commander Zexthul watched the blue-green marble grow larger on his viewing screen. Earth. The third planet from a yellow star in what the locals called the Milky Way galaxy. According to Imperial records, this world harbored a species called humans, who had recently achieved faster-than-light travel. A species that had somehow managed to remain hidden from the Galactic Empire for thousands of years. The massive Imperial dreadnought Void's Wrath cut through space like a knife through silk. Behind it, a fleet of 200 warships followed in perfect formation. Each vessel bristled with plasma cannons, particle beam arrays, and quantum torpedoes capable of cracking moons in half. This was the third Imperial fleet, fresh from conquering the stubborn Kalari homeworld and its 17 colonies. "Status report," Zexthul commanded, his four arms folded behind his back. His reptilian features remained stoic as always, but inside he felt the familiar thrill of conquest approaching. "Long-range sensors detect primitive orbital installations around the target world," reported his tactical officer. "Estimated technology level is barely space age. Their largest vessels appear to be simple metal constructions using chemical propulsion. No energy shields detected." Zexthul's mandibles clicked in amusement. The Empire had been expanding for over 10,000 years, absorbing species after species into its vast domain. Some joined willingly, seduced by promises of advanced technology and galactic citizenship. Others resisted and were crushed beneath Imperial might. Either way, the Empire grew stronger. Humans, according to preliminary reports, had only achieved spaceflight within the last century. They had never even left their own star system until recently. Their first contact with an alien species had apparently occurred just months ago when one of their exploration vessels encountered an automated Imperial probe near their outer planets. The probe had transmitted basic Empire protocols back to command before the humans destroyed it. Such defiance could not go unanswered. "Open a channel to the surface," Zexthul ordered. "Let us see what manner of species we are dealing with." The communication array hummed to life, transmitting across multiple frequencies until it locked onto what appeared to be the humans' primary communication networks. Within moments, a response came through. The face that appeared on screen was unlike anything Zexthul had encountered in his 40 years of Imperial service. The creature had only 2 arms, 2 legs, and a single head. Its skin was a pale pink color, and strange fur grew from the top of its skull. Most unsettling of all were its eyes. Not the compound visual organs of civilized species, but simple bilateral orbs that somehow conveyed remarkable intelligence. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said, her voice steady despite what must be overwhelming fear. "You are in violation of Earth space. State your business or withdraw immediately." The bridge of the Void's Wrath fell silent. Several officers exchanged glances of disbelief. A species barely capable of interplanetary flight was issuing demands to the Galactic Empire? Zexthul's mandibles clicked again, this time in irritation. "I am Commander Zexthul of the Third Imperial Fleet. By authority of His Supreme Excellence Emperor Vaktar the Eternal, this system has been claimed for the Galactic Empire. Your species will submit to Imperial rule or face the consequences." Admiral Chen's expression didn't change. "Commander, you clearly don't understand the situation. This is your first and only warning. Leave our system immediately, or we will be forced to defend ourselves." Laughter erupted across the bridge. The tactical officer nearly fell from his station, chittering with mirth. Even Zexthul found himself amused by the human's audacity. "Admiral Chen," he said, struggling to keep his voice professional, "perhaps you fail to comprehend what you face. This fleet could reduce your entire planet to radioactive slag within hours. Your primitive vessels pose no threat whatsoever to Imperial technology." "Our vessels? Perhaps not," Chen replied calmly. "But you're making a critical assumption, Commander. You assume this is about vessels. Something in her tone made Zexthul pause. There was no fear, no desperation, no anger, just a cold certainty that sent an unexpected chill through his nervous system. "What do you mean?" he found himself asking. Chen leaned forward slightly. "Commander, how long has your species been spacefaring?" "Over 8,000 years, Zexthul replied automatically, wondering why he was entertaining this conversation. "And in those 8,000 years, how many wars has your empire fought?" "Countless campaigns across the galaxy. We have brought order to thousands of worlds." "Against how many different species?" "Hundreds, perhaps thousands. What relevance does this have?" Chen nodded slowly. "Hundreds of different species. Each one you've encountered has followed roughly the same technological development path, haven't they? Primitive tools, then agriculture, then industry, then atomic power, then spaceflight. Each species probably took tens of thousands of years to reach the stars." Zexthul felt increasingly uneasy. "This is the natural progression of intelligent life. What point are you attempting to make?" "The point, Commander, is that humanity is different. We didn't follow that path." "Impossible. All intelligence develops according to universal constants." Admiral Chen's smile was neither warm nor reassuring. "Commander, your species took 8,000 years to build an interstellar empire. Humanity went from first flight to splitting the atom in 40 years. We went from splitting the atom to walking on our moon in 24 years. We built our first space stations in under 60 years from first flight." The bridge had grown quiet again, but this time the silence felt different. Heavier. "We are a young species, Commander," Chen continued. "But we are not a peaceful one. In just the last century, we fought 2 global wars that killed over 100 million of our own people. We built weapons capable of destroying all life on our planet. We perfected the art of warfare using technologies your empire considers primitive." Zexthul found his 4 hands unconsciously clenching into fists. "Threats will not save your world, human." "This isn't a threat, Commander. This is an explanation." Chen's eyes seemed to look directly through the screen into his soul. "You see metal ships and chemical rockets and think you understand us. But you're not fighting our ships. You're fighting the species that turned fusion into a weapon before we even left our atmosphere. You're fighting the species that created artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, and genetic engineering while still confined to a single planet." The communication channel crackled with interference for a moment before Chen's voice came through again, crystal clear. "You want to know what makes humans different, Commander? Every other species you've conquered probably saw the stars as a place to explore, to expand, to find new homes. We looked at the stars and saw a battlefield. We've been preparing for this day since we first realized we weren't alone." "Your threats mean nothing against Imperial firepower," Zexthul said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. "Then let me be more specific," Chen replied. 3 days ago, our deep space monitoring stations detected your fleet approaching. In those 3 days, we've deployed over 10,000 autonomous weapons platforms throughout this system. Each one is equipped with matter-antimatter warheads and guided by quantum-entangled targeting systems. They're currently invisible to your sensors because they're using technology you haven't encountered yet." The tactical officer quickly ran a sensor sweep. His face paled as he reported, "Commander, I'm detecting massive gravitational anomalies throughout the system. Thousands of them. They're everywhere." Chen nodded. "Those platforms aren't the warning, Commander. They're what happens if you ignore the warning." Zexthul's throat suddenly felt very dry. "What exactly are you warning us about?" For the first time, Admiral Chen's professional mask slipped slightly, revealing something that made Zexthul's blood run cold. It wasn't anger or hatred. It was the look of a predator that had been waiting patiently for prey to wander into its territory. "Commander, Humanity has spent the last 500 years perfecting one thing above all others, the art of killing. We've turned it into a science. We've made it efficient, precise, and absolutely ruthless. What you see here, the communication channel went dead, leaving the bridge of the Void's wrath in stunned silence. Commander Zexthul stared at the blank screen where Admiral Chen's face had been moments before. Around him, his officers waited for orders, their earlier amusement replaced by growing unease. "Sir," his tactical officer ventured, "your orders?" Zexthul's forearms trembled slightly. In 40 years of Imperial service, no primitive species had ever spoken to him like that. The human's words echoed in his mind. "We'll come for you. Not we'll fight back, or we'll defend ourselves." They would come for the Empire. "Commander," his weapons officer reported, "I've completed a detailed scan of those gravitational anomalies. Whatever they are, they're generating energy signatures I've never seen before. The quantum signatures suggest technology far beyond what these humans should possess." "Run a full diagnostic on all sensors," Zexthul ordered, trying to maintain his composure. "There must be some error." While his crew worked frantically at their stations, Zexthul opened a secure channel to Imperial High Command. The face of Grand Admiral Mordek appeared on his personal screen, the ancient warrior's scales scarred from centuries of battle. "Report, Commander," Mordek rumbled. "Why haven't you begun the conquest?" "Sir, we've encountered unexpected complications. The humans appear to possess advanced defensive capabilities that our intelligence reports failed to mention." Mordek's 6 eyes narrowed. "Explain." Zexthul quickly summarized his conversation with Admiral Chen and the detection of the mysterious weapons platforms. As he spoke, he watched Mordek's expression shift from annoyance to concern to something approaching alarm. "Show me their military leader again," Mordek commanded. Zexthul reopened the channel to Earth. This time, Admiral Chen appeared flanked by several other humans in military uniforms. Zexthul noticed that despite their obvious youth as a species, each human carried themselves with the bearing of seasoned warriors. "Grand Admiral Mordek of Imperial High Command wishes to speak with you," Zexthul announced. Chen nodded politely. "Grand Admiral, I assume Commander Zexthul has briefed you on our situation?" "Indeed," Mordek replied, his voice carrying the authority of absolute power. "I have conquered over 300 worlds in my lifetime, human. Your threats do not impress me." "With respect, Grand Admiral," Chen said, "I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to save your life." Mordek's scales bristled with indignation. "You dare—" "Grand Admiral," Chen interrupted, "may I ask you a question? In all your conquests, have you ever faced a species that developed weapons of mass destruction before developing interstellar travel?" Mordek paused, clearly taken aback by the interruption. "No species would be so foolish. Such weapons would destroy them before they could reach the stars." "Exactly. Any rational species would focus on exploration and expansion before warfare. But humanity isn't rational, Grand Admiral. We're survivors. And survivors don't play by rational rules." Chen gestured to one of her companions, a tall human with graying hair and cold eyes. "This is General Martinez, commander of our planetary defense grid. General, please show the Grand Admiral what we've built." Martinez stepped forward and activated a holographic display. The image showed Earth's solar system, but it was unlike anything Zexthul had seen before. Lines of energy connected every major planetary body. Massive installations orbited each planet and moon. The asteroid belt had been converted into a labyrinth of mining operations and weapons platforms. "What you're looking at," Martinez explained in a voice devoid of emotion, "is the result of 50 years of preparation. When we realized we weren't alone in the universe, we didn't just build defenses. We built a fortress." The hologram zoomed in on one of the outer planets. The surface was covered in geometric patterns that stretched across continents. "This is Neptune Base," Martinez continued. "Population, 0. Purpose, weapons testing. Every weapon we've ever imagined, we've built and tested here. Nuclear, antimatter, quantum disruptors, gravity bombs, temporal destabilizers, things that shouldn't exist according to conventional physics." Mordek leaned forward, studying the display with growing alarm. "Impossible. No species could develop such technology so quickly." General Martinez smiled, and it was the most terrifying expression Zexthul had ever seen on any creature's face. "Grand Admiral, humanity has a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When we realized that contact with aliens was inevitable, we didn't debate whether we should prepare for war. We debated how to win it." The holographic display shifted to show technical schematics. Zexthul recognized some of the designs. They were variations of weapons the Empire had banned as too dangerous to use. "These are our first-generation weapons," Martinez said casually. "We've moved well beyond these designs. Would you like to see our current arsenal?" "No," Mordek said quickly. "This is sufficient." Admiral Chen stepped back into view. "Grand Admiral, I want you to understand something. Everything you're seeing is defensive. This is what we built to protect ourselves. This isn't what we built to attack." The bridge of the Void's wrath fell completely silent. Even the background hum of the engines seemed muted. "You see," Chen continued, "when humans prepare for war, we don't just prepare to defend, we prepare to win. And winning means making sure the threat never comes back." A new human appeared on the screen, this one wearing a different uniform altogether. The individual was younger than the others, but carried an air of absolute authority that made even Mordek shift uncomfortably. "This is Director Singh of the Strategic Response Division," Chen announced. "Director, please explain Project Looking Glass to our guests." Director Singh nodded and activated another holographic display. This one showed what appeared to be a three-dimensional map of the entire galaxy. "Project Looking Glass is our deep space monitoring network," Singh explained in a calm, clinical voice. "Over the past 30 years, we've deployed over 1 million stealth probes throughout the galaxy. Each probe is invisible to conventional sensors and equipped with quantum communication arrays that allow instantaneous data transmission across any distance." Zexthul felt his blood turn to ice. "You've been watching us." "For decades," Singh confirmed. "We know the location of every Imperial world, every fleet, every installation. We've mapped your trade routes, identified your military capabilities, and cataloged the weaknesses in your technology." The galactic display zoomed in on various Imperial territories. Red dots appeared at key locations, military bases, industrial worlds, and command centers. "We also know," Singh continued, "that your empire has never faced an enemy that could strike anywhere, anytime, without warning. Your entire military doctrine is based on conventional warfare between fleets. You've never had to defend against enemies that could appear behind your lines without using hyperspace lanes." Mordek's voice was barely a whisper. "How?" "Quantum tunneling," Singh replied matter-of-factly. "We've learned to fold space-time in ways that bypass your detection grids entirely. While you've been perfecting faster-than-light travel, we've been perfecting instantaneous travel." Admiral Chen stepped back into frame. "Grand Admiral, what Director Singh is telling you is that if this conversation ends in violence, it won't be a war in the traditional sense. It will be a surgical extermination. We won't just defeat your fleet. We'll simultaneously strike every major Imperial installation in the galaxy." "But that's impossible," Mordek protested. "The logistics alone—" "Grand Admiral," Chen interrupted. "You're thinking like a conventional military commander. You're thinking about supply lines and reinforcements and territorial control. But humans don't fight conventional wars. We fight to eliminate threats permanently." She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. If you attack Earth, you won't just be starting a war with humanity. You'll be ending the Galactic Empire. Director Singh activated one final display. This one showed a countdown timer. This is how long you have to make your decision, Grand Admiral. When this timer reaches 0, our automated defense systems will interpret your continued presence as a hostile act. At that point, the choice will be TAC 12 minutes and 18 seconds. Grand Admiral Mordek stared at the countdown timer, his ancient mind racing through possibilities and scenarios. In his 3 centuries of life, he had faced rebellions, conquered civilizations, and crushed resistance movements across hundreds of worlds. But never had he encountered anything like this. "Sir," Commander Zexthul whispered urgently, "perhaps we should consider tactical withdrawal. We can return with a larger fleet." "No," Mordek said firmly, his 6 eyes never leaving the human faces on the screen. "If they possess the capabilities they claim, a larger fleet would only provide them with more targets." On the screen, Admiral Chen remained perfectly still, her expression unreadable. The other humans flanking her showed no signs of nervousness or uncertainty. They waited with the patience of predators confident in their kill. 10 minutes and 43 seconds. "Admiral Chen," Mordek said slowly, "you spoke of survival. But consider this. The Empire spans thousands of worlds. Trillions of beings live under Imperial protection. Would you truly commit genocide on such a scale to protect one planet?" Chen's response came without hesitation. "Grand Admiral, you're making the same mistake your predecessors made when they encountered humans for the first time. You assume we're motivated by the same drives as other species." She gestured to something off-screen, and the holographic display changed once again. This time it showed Earth's surface, but not as Zexthul expected. Instead of a peaceful blue world, he saw massive underground installations, orbital defense platforms, and cities built like fortresses. "This is what Earth looks like after 50 years of preparation for this moment," Chen explained. "Every major population center is protected by energy shields that can withstand direct hits from stellar-class weapons. Every citizen above the age of 16 has military training. Our entire civilization has been reorganized around one principle: survival at any cost." 9 minutes and 12 seconds. General Martinez stepped forward again. "Grand Admiral, let me ask you something. How many wars has the Empire fought where the enemy had nothing left to lose?" Mordek considered the question carefully. "None. Conquered species always have their homeworlds, their colonies, their people to protect. There are always terms to be negotiated." "Exactly," Martinez nodded grimly. "But humanity has already lost everything that matters to us. We've already watched other species fall to imperial expansion. We've already seen what happens to primitive civilizations that resist. We know that no matter what we do, no matter how we surrender or comply, the Empire will eventually consume us completely." Director Singh activated another display showing historical records from previous Imperial conquests. Zexthul recognized the footage: worlds burning, populations enslaved, entire civilizations reduced to footnotes in Imperial history. "We've studied every species your Empire has encountered," Singh said clinically. "The pattern is always the same. First contact, demands for submission, token resistance, overwhelming force, complete subjugation. Cultural extinction follows within 3 generations. 8 minutes and 4 seconds. So you see," Admiral Chen continued, "from our perspective, we're already facing extinction. The only question is whether we die alone or take our killers with us." The words hit Mordek like physical blows. This wasn't a negotiation or a territorial dispute. This was something far more dangerous: a cornered species with nothing left to lose and the technological capability to make good on their threats. "There must be another way," Mordek said, his voice carrying a note of desperation he hadn't felt in centuries. "The Empire has made accommodations for exceptional species before. We could offer membership, technological exchange, protected status." Admiral Chen shook her head sadly. "Grand Admiral, you still don't understand. We don't want to join your empire. We don't want your technology. We don't want your protection. We want you to leave us alone and never come back. And if we refuse, 6 minutes and 37 seconds. Director Singh answered with the cold precision of a scientist discussing a laboratory experiment. Then, in approximately 6 minutes, this conversation becomes irrelevant. Our automated systems will initiate what we call the final protocol, which is simultaneous strikes against every Imperial installation in the galaxy, Singh replied matter-of-factly. Command centers, military bases, industrial worlds, colonial governments, every single location we've identified over the past 30 years. Zex Thul felt his legs give way, and he collapsed into his command chair. That's impossible. The coordination alone is entirely handled by artificial intelligence systems operating at quantum processing speeds, Singh finished. No human intervention required, no hesitation, no mercy. 5 minutes and 11 seconds. Mordek closed his eyes, his ancient mind trying to process the magnitude of what he was hearing. You would destroy an empire that has brought order and civilization to half the galaxy. Yes, Chen replied simply. You would commit genocide against trillions of innocent beings. Yes. You would plunge hundreds of worlds into chaos and warfare. Yes. 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Why? Mordek asked, his voice breaking. Why would you choose such monstrous action? For the first time in their conversation, Admiral Chen's professional mask slipped completely. What Mordek saw beneath it made his blood run cold, not hatred or anger, but the absolute resolve of a species that had chosen death over slavery. Because, Grand Admiral, she said quietly, that's what humans do when we're threatened with extinction. We don't just die quietly. We make sure our killers remember why they should have left us alone. 3 minutes and 49 seconds. General Martinez stepped forward one final time. Grand Admiral, I want you to understand something about human military doctrine. We don't fight wars to win territory or resources or political advantage. We fight wars to ensure that our enemies never threaten us again. When humans go to war, we go to war completely. But surely, Mordek pleaded, you must realize that such actions would make you the most feared and hated species in the galaxy. You would be forever marked as genocidal monsters. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. Yes, we would. And that's exactly the point. 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Director Singh activated one final display, a star map showing Earth at the center of an expanding sphere of influence. After today, word will spread throughout the galaxy about what happened here. Every species will know that humanity destroyed the greatest empire in galactic history rather than submit to conquest. They'll know that humans are not a species to be conquered or controlled or threatened. They'll leave us alone, Chen added, because they'll be too terrified to do otherwise. 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Mordek stared at the countdown timer, his mind reeling. Everything about imperial doctrine, everything about civilized warfare, everything about rational behavior was meaningless in the face of a species that preferred mutual annihilation to defeat. Admiral Chen, he said finally, if I order my fleet to withdraw, if we leave your system and never return, will you call off your attack? Yes, she replied immediately. And if other Imperial fleets approach Earth in the future, they will be destroyed without warning. And if the Empire attempts to negotiate or establish peaceful contact, we will destroy them without negotiation. 1 minute and 38 seconds. Mordek looked around the bridge of the Void's wrath, seeing the fear in his officers' eyes. These were warriors who had conquered worlds without flinching, but they were facing something beyond their comprehension, a species that had weaponized its own extinction. "Commander Zexthul," he said quietly, "signal the fleet. Full retreat. Maximum velocity. Leave the system immediately." "Sir?" Zexthul asked in confusion. "Do it now!" Mordek roared. 47 seconds. As the Imperial fleet began its hasty withdrawal, Mordek opened one final communication channel to Earth. "Admiral Chen," he said formally, "the Third Imperial Fleet is withdrawing from your system. We will not return." "Wise choice, Grand Admiral," Chen replied. "And Grand Admiral, make sure your Emperor understands why you made this decision. Make sure he understands that humans are not a species to be conquered." 22 seconds. "I will ensure the message is delivered," Mordek promised. 15 seconds. "Good. Because if we ever see another Imperial vessel in this system, there won't be any warnings. There won't be any negotiations. There will only be the end of everything you've built." 5 seconds. The countdown timer reached 0 and disappeared. For a moment, the communication channel remained open, and Mordek found himself staring into the eyes of the most dangerous predator he had ever encountered. "Goodbye, Grand Admiral," Admiral Chen said softly. "I hope we never meet again." The channel closed, leaving Mordek alone with his thoughts as the Imperial fleet fled Earth's solar system at maximum speed. Behind them, humanity returned to its preparations, content in the knowledge that their message had been delivered clearly. The Galactic Empire never approached Earth again, and when other species asked why the mighty Empire avoided an entire sector of space, they were told a simple truth. Because that's where the humans lived, and humans were not a species anyone wanted as an enemy. In the depths of space, Earth continued its watch, patient and deadly, waiting for the next threat that would never come, and out of all our hands. The timer showed 14 minutes and 37 seconds. Mordek stared at the countdown in horror. "You would destroy an empire spanning half the galaxy for one world?" Admiral Chen's expression softened slightly, but her voice remained steel. "Grand Admiral, you still don't understand. This isn't about protecting one world. This is about survival. And when it comes to survival, humans don't compromise." The timer continued its relentless countdown, 13 minutes and 49 seconds. "The choice is yours, Grand Admiral," Chen said quietly. "But choose quickly. Time is running out. Conversation these platforms. This is us being merciful." The communication channel went silent for several long seconds before Chen spoke again. "This is your only warning, Commander. Take your fleet and leave our system. Don't come back. Don't send reinforcements. Don't report our location to your empire. Because if you do, if any Imperial vessel ever approaches Earth again, we won't just defend ourselves." Admiral Chen stood up, and for a moment her image filled the entire screen. "We'll come for you,"